Well, I made the mistake of going on Jay Dyer's live podcast and engaging him. Um, we'll go through it here in a minute, but two things. One, I actually think Jay is very smart, and so when I have an argument against Eastern Orthodoxy, my goal is to always find someone who's actually articulate, can actually argue, and ask them a question that's polemic in nature and see how they respond to it. Like, okay, did they respond well or did they respond negatively? And that's how I became Catholic. I created a criteria of arguments, and I found people who were intelligent enough to handle arguments, and I asked them these questions, and it's called scholarship, and engaging with different fields. So that was my goal here. I was not trying to debate. I was trying to ask questions. That slowly got out of hand. And if I did anything wrong here, I'm sure people will let me know. But number two is, if you're sensitive to some swearing, please leave, because I'm going to curse. He curses. I'm going to curse some more. It's just the nature of the schism. So let's get into. Let's try to find it first.
By the way, go ahead, RC.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, thanks. I'm going to try to fly through some of this. One being not on topic of any debate stuff, but are you only open for debates, or do you also do like interviews and stuff too?
What do you mean interviews?
Like if you came on a podcast and we're talking about the Eastern Orthodoxy and stuff like that.
I mean, I have done that on many. It depends on the
Okay, one, I didn't ask if you've done it. I said, are you open to it?
podcast. So what do you
Sure.
mean? Whose
Well,
podcast?
I don't know. There's a couple of Catholic ones out there that I would love to have you on and get you on.
Catholic ones want?
so-
Why would a Catholic want me on their podcast?
Dude,
Okay, so immediately he's like, why would a Catholic want me? So he's obviously butthurt from something in the past, and I don't know Jay Dyer's past. I don't know his engagements with Catholicism at all. Like, I don't give a shit about it. What I care about is he's smart and he can answer questions. That's why I would want him on the podcast, and not in a way that's like, I'm going to disprove it live on a podcast. Like, no, I just want to engage you, dude. Like, I think you have some, even politically, like not even religiously, I think you have some interesting mindsets.
I think you have a lot of good stuff to say. I disagree with it, obviously, but I think there's a lot of questions out there. Like, I've watched. I don't know.
I have a lot of good stuff to say. I disagree with it. How is it good if you disagree with it? I don't understand.
You can't have good arguments and disagree with it. Everything has to be shit.
Like what podcast?
So there are really good arguments for atheism that are coherent and logical and make sense. I don't agree with them, but they are good arguments. Why does everything, like my point was like, why does everything have to be crap?
I don't have a specific. Specific one in mind right now, but I was just curious if you were ever be open to it.
I mean, I've gone on some Catholic podcasts.
Yeah, and mainly for the purpose of like, again, like I've watched, dude, 100+ hours probably of your stuff, and it'd be nice to have a lot of the Eastern Orthodox v Catholic v Protestant stuff really like concise in one place.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I don't know if you're new to a lot of this stuff, but I mean, there's a long kind of backstory of just nasty interactions with a lot of these.
How can you say you've had nasty interactions when the preceding events happen? It's like, dude acts like he has thick skin, and then why would you want me on a Catholic podcast? Well, again, I think you're smart.
Catholic
sure.
podcast, so
Yeah.
I don't think they want me on their podcast. So.
I'm sure.
I do.
Yeah, no, I know there's a lot of that. So, and then more on topic, just for questions and stuff. The Orthodox Church, because I'm doing my best to read up as much as I can and listen to your arguments and stuff. You guys project centralized leadership, right? It's always a council as a deciding factor.
Yeah, I mean, that's the highest authority, yeah.
So there's no ecumenical patriarch or anything like that.
Well, there is an ecumenical patriarch, but he's not above a council.
What is his position for?
Identically the same as.
So I'm just working through my criteria. I have a criteria set of questions, and I came across the ecumenical patriarch, and I wanted to know, I've read up on it and stuff, and people have varying opinions on it, even within Eastern Orthodoxy, especially when you get into the Russia areas and stuff like that. So for me, it was, okay, I'll just go to Jay, and he'll explain it to me.
As the patriarchates in the first 1,000 years had as a canonical, it's a canonical honor that they have within their jurisdictions.
So immediately he goes into the jurisdictions of patriarchs. But that wasn't my question. The question was the one patriarch.
Their synods. It doesn't mean that they tell the rest of the church what to do.
Yeah, fair. So there's multiple. There's not just one.
Well, historically, there are 5 patriarchates. Rome broke away from the rest of the patriarchates. So what does that say?
Doesn't answer my question. Doesn't speak about the one patriarch. So I have to loop back to that. But then he goes, what does that say? Rome broke away. What does that say? The f are you talking about? Who cares? Okay. So in your view, they broke away. But they didn't. But, okay. Not the topic of the question. Not the question. Not an answer to the question. Answer the question. Moron.
I'm just asking right now, currently, is there one or is there multiple?
There's multiple.
Okay.
So the question was ecumenical patriarch, and he says there's multiple.
For which jurisdictions?
Well, a patriarchate, again, is just a...
So now he's just on patriarchate. So he's diverted from the sole patriarch to patriarchs, just through normal conversation. Gotta say, kind of brilliant that he diverted it like that, but either intentional or not, I have no idea.
Honorary place and title for people who have a position as the bishop of a very ancient metropolitan see. So you have the Patriarchate of Moscow, you have the Patriarch of Jerusalem, you have the Patriarch of Constantinople, Patriarch of Alexandria, Patriarch of Antioch, right? So these are the main ancient patriarchal seats. Of course, Russia is not ancient, but in the Orthodox view, there can be, through conciliar gift, you could say, or honor, autocephalous churches. So the Council of Ephesus created the autocephalous.
So this is gonna come up multiple times, the word autocephalous. I know what it means. I've read it 100 times. When he said it, I'm focused on, you're not answering my question. I'm going down this way, and he's talking about this. And so the word goes over my head. I'm like, I don't even know, like, off the top of my head what that even means. Don't even care.
Church of Cyprus. Did you know that, by the way?
Did you know that?
I not off the top of my head, I'm sure.
And what I was actually answering was the formation of those, not the word itself, but
somewhere.
Well, so the reason I'm asking that is, like, many Roman Catholics.
There's a question. I'm sorry, I missed the question. I thought it was a statement.
Many Roman Catholic. The reason I'm asking you that is that many Roman Catholics are not aware of autocephalous churches, and so when they hear that, they think it's something that we as Orthodox have made up. And what I'm saying is that if you look at the Council of Ephesus, they create out of the council the first autocephalous church. So it's a thing that your church did.
This is like stage one of him taking something I ask. Actually, it's the second time, but it's like taking something I ask and then not only diverting it, but assuming I'm making an argument. Like, everything has to be an argument. Nothing can just be a question, right? When you're in a formal debate and you're doing cross-examination, you're not arguing a case, you're examining. So I am examining Eastern Orthodoxy through my questions with him, and he needs to have a debate, seemingly.
Did as well.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I can understand that. So there's multiple patriarchs. There's not one ecumenical patriarch. They're all acting in that role, correct?
Well, there's one person who has the title of ecumenical patriarchate, and that's Constantinople. And the reason that he has that role is because in the ancient canons, Constantinople Council 1 in 381, they said,
Canon 3.
let Constantinople or Old or New Rome have the place after Old Rome in the canonical list.
And I try to press him on why that occurred, and this is kind of where it derails a little bit, but I want to give context to this. New Rome was a title used in the context of 381 because the capital changed. So it was not a religious, it was not liturgical, it had nothing to do, it was strictly imperial, so it was literally political. And this is when Constantinople starts to say, puff up their chest and say, okay, we're the new Rome, we're the new capital. The problem is Rome was for the church important apostolically, not empirically. So when he starts arguing in a second about how, well, just because it's imperial and it's political, it doesn't mean that it's not apostolic. That's not the argument I'm making. It's Constantinople is apostolic. Cool, great, granted, whatever. I try to grant it like 3 times. He doesn't let me. My argument is the reason why it's New Rome and they rise in power has nothing to do with an apostle, as Rome does. Yes, Rome was a big city, but it's important to the church because of the apostolic succession that exists there, the seat of Peter. Constantinople does not have that, but yet they try to overtake their line and become this new Rome. So they take that political statement, New Rome, and try to make it religious and liturgical, and that's what I was trying to point out, but I was not able to, as you'll see.
So the canons of the councils gave to Constantinople the number 2 role.
Yeah, Canon 3. Is that imperial or is that apostolic?
Is what imperial or apostolic?
Them giving that primacy to Constantinople.
Well, if a council does it, by definition, it's a ecumenical action if it's an ecumenical council. But Rome didn't accept that until many centuries later. Are you asking me if...
I'm asking the historical reasoning for Constantinople's primacy being brought up in Canon 3.
To my knowledge, there's nothing apostolic about it. It is accorded to that church.
I was actually shocked that he just said that and didn't divert it, and I was actually thankful because it's not a big deal to say, yeah, it's imperial. Again, that's not the argument I'm making at all.
From the council.
Also not making an argument. I was fine with the answer. I was ready to move on.
Does that not raise eyebrows for you at all, or no?
Oh my gosh, here we go. Are you the guy that always calls in and doesn't?
This is my favorite part. Are you the guy? He did this the very first time I've ever been on a show, which, by the way, this is the second time I've been on the show. So I've been on a total of 2 times now. So there's not an every time. There are 2 times. And the first time he goes, aren't you the guy that always... I'm like, I'm actually never been on your show, bud. And I try to point out here, nope, I've only been on here twice, so not me. I get that he gets butthurt over the people asking questions and stuff, but I don't watch every freaking stream you do, Jay. I try to, because I think they're interesting. But just oh, here we go. We're going down this route that I hate. I don't like this route. I'm literally just asking a question. And you want to talk about soft and impatient.
Know anything about this topic and has the same stupid debate every time we do this.
This is my second time calling in.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
This is my second time calling in. The first time I called in, he actually said, "Hey, that was a great conversation," and it's on I think it's on my YouTube, or it's on his at least. I have the recording of it, the transcript of it. We didn't argue, we didn't debate. It was actually a really good conversation. So first he says, "Aren't you the guy that always calls in?" And I go, "No, this is my second time." He goes, "Yeah, that's what I thought." What? What are you freaking talking about?
Does what not reason? Do you not understand what I just told you about the auto? Okay, why are you interrupting me? No, you don't understand. Why are you interrupting?
You asked a question.
Don't interrupt me.
This app saves me around 60 hours.
Grant to the Church of Cyprus an autocephalous independent status, that it doesn't matter if the church is, quote...
So he's going off on this tangent about an argument I'm not making. Again, my argument is Rome was important to the church because of Peter. Constantinople became large and important outside of any apostolic necessity other than a political and imperial canon. That's the only thing I was stating and questioning and saying, hey, does that like make you think at all? And apparently he doesn't like thinking about that.
Apostolic. They have the fullness of the apostolic faith because they've been given that from an apostolic council.
Yes.
Ecumenical councils are apostolic councils because they're apostles' successors doing it. So there's nothing.
This is where he needs to let the person explain so that he doesn't go off on these tangents. Unless he likes these tangents because it diverts the actual topic, I can't tell.
About the ecumenical patriarchate that makes it You're referring to the claim that's later on where Constantinople says maybe we have apostolic pedigree like Rome. They don't. So, but that has nothing to do with whether a council can grant to these bishoprics that authority. And do you not understand that Rome accepted Constantinople as second centuries later?
Good.
Yeah, I don't want to dismiss what you said at all. It doesn't necessarily answer my question or my point. But to kind of give more context to that, the autocephalus, excuse me.
He gets frustrated because he's assuming I'm making a certain point, and I'm like, sorry, dude, that's not my point. You don't let me, when you ask me a question, I try to answer, you tell me I'm cutting you off. So I try to respect you and I try to be quiet.
I'm going off the top of my head, so I literally might be mistaken here. You can tell me. Wasn't Ukraine given that and Russia not? Or was it vice versa or something?
Ukraine is not an autocephalous church. Ukraine was under the Russian church because Ukraine is an ancient Russian area.
Okay.
Every single question I ask could go like that, where he just answers it, and I'm like, okay, I might have a follow up, but I'm not trying to like, well, no, I think I haven't done that once. If he doesn't answer my question, I'm not going to act like he answered my question.
Yeah. So again, I don't want to dismiss your point, and I just think it subverts what I'm actually stating.
I don't understand your point, man. I'm trying to be patient with you because I don't want to argue it.
Fair.
Okay, so explain to me what you're trying to say because I have no idea what you're saying.
Okay, I guess I'm looking for clarification on why. So, like, Rome has clear apostolic authority for being, throughout history. I think we both agree.
Okay,
that
again, you're misunderstanding right away. So
I don't even get to. I said 4 words. I said 4 freaking words, and I'm about to explain what I've already explained here now to him, and he doesn't let me. So then he gets more frustrated. The dude literally trips over his own feet.
Rome being apostolic has nothing to do with whether or not other churches are also apostolic. Antioch is apostolic. Jerusalem is apostolic. You understand?
Yep.
Alexandria is apostolic.
Yep.
Okay.
I get that.
Let me finish. In our view, that in the history of the churches and the councils and the fathers, those churches are honored because of their lineage and because of their ancient history. It does not detract from any other church later established, like, say, the Moscow Patriarchate. It doesn't mean they're less apostolic because they're not an ancient apostolic church. It's just an honor. That's it. There's nothing about those churches that make...
Okay, 2 things. 1, I'm not making that argument. He hasn't let me actually make an argument, like clarifying my question into an argument, per se. And then 2, he just said that the title is an honor. That's all it is. It's just an honor. Okay.
Makes them more Christian, more holy, more powerful than the others because, as Ignatius says, the fullness of the church is where the bishop and the sacraments are.
Agreed.
Well, you don't agree with that because you don't believe that.
No,
because you always argue that you were arguing that.
I always argue.
Argue?
Come on, man! Don't play these games. What's your point, man?
Dude.
You've called in with these same arguments.
Earlier, I already clarified to the homie, this is my 2nd time calling. And the first time was a good conversation, had nothing to do with this. Had everything to do about actually arguing against Roman Catholicism. So I always call in.
Come on.
This is my second time being
Okay,
on
the
here.
second time.
Yes. Why is that so hard?
So
for you to
help me understand your argument. I don't get what you're
I'm
arguing.
not even making an argument. I'm literally looking for clarification, which
Okay.
you've partially given, but you've also ranted past where I'm trying to go.
Because I
get
don't think you
the
understand these
apostolic-
topics. Maybe you need to be ranted at.
So now I don't understand the topic because you can't take 5 seconds to let me clarify a freaking question. And then he's going to be like, well, you didn't know what the autocephalus was.
Because you don't know what these topics are about.
Brother, I do.
You do. I don't think you
and
do. You didn't know what an autocephalous church was. You don't know.
Okay. So if
How do you know these topics?
So I actually say, okay, I swallow it, and I try to go, okay, if, and then interrupted.
If you don't know what an autocephalous church is.
Dude, I didn't know off the top of my head. It's freaking 9 o'clock. Put my kid to bed. Like, what do you want from me? I'm coming on to your show trying to ask a question, and you're deterring.
No, you're not.
because you didn't
You're
like the question.
acting like like you
5
know
minutes
these.
ago.
You don't know the subject matter.
About 5 minutes ago, you said, well, Rome does this. It's like, I don't care what Rome does right now. I'm asking you a question.
Are you Roman Catholic?
Yeah.
Then you do care what Rome does. What are you talking about?
Not on pertaining to the conversation. I'm asking you a question about the imperial decrees.
Stop being passive aggressive. Just
In order to be passive aggressive, you have to. If you've ever dated a female, if you're married, you know what passive aggressive is. If anything, I was just being aggressive. I don't know how I'm being passive aggressive. This dude is so weak.
make your argument.
Okay. So, again, it's not really an argument. It's more just, I'm curious.
Make your point.
Why was it based on an imperial decree and rather than apostolic authority like Rome had?
Oh my gosh.
Then later, I understand you explained that part. I'm trying to finish. Then later, you have the instance where, which everyone warned Constantinople about, was, I think 600. I think it was Saint Gregory. The East was calling themselves the universal bishop. So, how does this stuff not continue to lead to those issues where now you have a ecumenical patriarch, which is apparently just an honorary title, has no actual meaning.
Are you saying that that's what I said? I said it's an honorary title where he has canonical privileges in his jurisdiction. I didn't say it had no.
Sorry, go ahead.
I didn't say it had no meaning. Don't put words in my mouth.
No, I said that. I'm not saying you said
Okay,
that. I'm saying
fair enough.
Has he ever exercised any primacy authority over the church? So, for example, you guys can't agree on if someone should be.
Okay, so I have a question. I'm not Eastern Orthodox, so I don't know everything about the church. That basically Protestant church. I have a question, and then I give him an example so it's clear what my question is.
Rebaptized, right? So, if
Don't play these fucking games, dude. You're starting to piss me off.
It cracks me up how soft and how weak he is, like mentally. Like, just hold it together, dude. Like, let a dude who's not Eastern Orthodox ask a question. Especially if you think I don't know anything about the topic, you can teach me.
That's not true that we don't agree with that, because some people have disagreements online. You're assuming that we can't figure this out or agree with it. It's because
Actually, you're assuming the nature of my source. You're assuming the nature of my context. You're assuming how I gathered that source. You're assuming what I've looked into and what I haven't looked into just by saying that one sentence. This is why he doesn't actually do any actual scholarship. He just reads other people's scholarship and regurgitates it and hides behind fallacy.
of the
I've been
principle.
told by
Stop
Bishop.
interrupting me, or we're never going to talk again.
Okay, good.
It's because
In just the last 7 days, 8,368 men have clicked the link on one of our ads that you've probably.
and so there's not a one size fits all rule. You don't even know that your own canons of your church in the Sixth Council, for
True. Whatever he's about to say is probably true. I don't care. It doesn't answer my question.
example, specify that certain people have to be rebaptized even if they were baptized in a Trinitarian formula.
He's harping on the example and diverting completely away from the question that I asked. And again, I don't know if he's doing it on purpose or if he's that weak or if I don't understand it. Like, I asked a question, focus on the question, not the example. Say, hey, that example's not right. Here's why. Cool. Okay. Like, his explanation makes sense to me. Like, okay, I get it. Like, sweet. Can you answer the question?
For example, the Paulicians or the Eunomians, because it was a Unitarian baptism, even though it said the right words. So there's canonical reasons why we do that. It's not an issue of we can't figure it out. It's left to the local bishops to decide that. And that's how the church did it in the first 1,000 years, man.
Okay. And by the way, I'm perfectly fine accepting stuff like remarks like that. I'm not stating like outright, hey, you guys do this. Like, if you want to correct me on that stuff, that's great. I've had multiple Orthodox priests tell me different.
Here's why I'm mad at myself. I let him divert me away from the question. Because he freaking just rants and bulldozes and you're interrupting me. Don't say my name. You're interrupting me. Don't say my name.
Things. That's why I
Well, guess what? Guess how many Roman Catholic priests are going to tell me different things. So what does that prove?
That's fair. I think that's fair. I'm just telling you, I can say that based off the
I'm
experience.
trying to give him my source of why I use that example, and he's not getting that. I'm trying to like verify, hey, this is why I'm repeating this. It's not because of some online argument.
Experience I've had with the Orthodox people that I've spoken to. So I don't want to take up too much more time, but one more question I would have then. If you have these like,
I'm so mad because I literally fell for the J trap, which is divert the actual question, focus on some minute thing, rant about it, and then the person forgets. And I'm ADHD, so I forget literally everything.
Schisms, these ethnic-based schisms, right? So
You mean like in the
Great
Roman
question.
Catholic Church, like in Antioch, where there's 3 patriarchs of Antioch? That?
no, more ethnic-centric. So like,
Does
you
that
guys-
ever happen in Roman Catholic churches like Croatia, where they're ethnocentric?
Okay, so again, he's assuming my argument, and I once again am unable to, because it gets derailed. He interrupts me, assumes my argument, and goes on. My argument is, if you're in Mexico, if you're anywhere in the world where there's a Greek Orthodox church, it's gonna be Greek. It's not East, it's Greek. And he actually proves my point of the actual argument I'm trying to make, but we never get to that. He said he's talking about Croatia, and then he goes on to Mexico, and I'm like, can you give me? I want him to give me an example so that I'm able to understand, like, verify. Okay, he is actually making my argument for me, and we'll launch that in a second. But my main argument here is very simple. If you go to Mexico, it's gonna be Mexican. If you go to Sweden, it's going to be Swedish. It's going to have that culture in it. If I go to my local parish, it's going to reflect the culture. If I go to a Greek Orthodox church, it's going to be Greek or Russian. Like, the idea that you can go to Mexico and even find a Greek Orthodox church, and it won't be Greek, and it will be heavily influenced by the Mexican culture, is wrong. But we never get there.
Do you mean like liturgically?
You said
What are you asking?
ethnocentric. Liturgically is linguistic, so...
Well, I guess I'm trying to understand where.
Which still has to do with ethnicity.
Like if I go to Poland, is it ethnocentrically Catholic or what?
It's Catholic.
Oh, but it's not ethnocentrically Catholic.
Well, if I go down the road to my Catholic, this is again getting off the topic of my question.
No, it's
If we
that
go down
you load your questions with these paths.
So now he's saying I'm loading questions, and I don't even think I've actually asked a question. That is like, just answer the, be like, no, just answer the question. Answer my questions and don't assume arguments.
Passive aggressive jabs, and then you act like a victim when I called it out.
Aggressive.
No, come on, dude.
No, I know my heart, dude. It's not passive aggressive. I promise you. I literally am just trying to engage these things that are here in front of me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, literally.
Yeah, I bet.
Why do you have such a poor attitude?
Because it's inauthentic, dude. I've
It's
done this
not,
for
dude.
20 years. I can spot the passive aggressive.
Can spot it. I can just spot it across the room. No, you can't, obviously, because I'm like before the Lord being authentic and want answers to these questions. But you can't answer them.
Bullshit,
I would do
dude.
this face to face with you any day. I actually think we would be good buddies, but that's, another time, I guess.
It's because you guys always act the same way and you do
You guys, now he's lumping me in.
the same stuff, and I can
Dude, I've
tell
been
by the way.
Catholic
And then you
for
interrupt
less
me.
than a year.
You're asking.
I'm just reflecting, and he goes, you interrupt me. As if you haven't interrupted me 900 times this conversation, Jay. Because you can't take someone actually talking other than your own damn voice.
Loaded questions, and you load it with the passive aggressive jabs, like with your ethnocentric religion, and you know what that's getting at. You're trying to say that orthodoxy is not ethnocentric, and we have these problems, as if your own freaking gay church doesn't have that problem.
I guess I'm asking, in what way do we have that problem then?
Are you serious?
Dude, you made a claim.
Are Mexicans ethnocentric with their Catholicism?
Meaning what? Give me an
Oh
example.
my gosh! All right, don't ever talk to me again. Just go away.
You're such a bitch.
Yeah. You can't actually make good arguments, and that's why
You won't even let me finish a question.
because your arguments are retarded and stupid, and they.
You're assuming them. You're making them retarded and stupid because you're using your own brain instead of my mouth.
Just
You're saying
ramble.
they're loaded.
They are. You think I don't know what
Jay,
a
they're
loaded
not
question
loaded.
and a loaded statement is?
If a question appears, if someone's interested in Eastern Orthodoxy and they get these...
Yeah, but I don't believe you are
polemic-
because you come and you ask bad faith questions. That's why.
But you're...
What constitutes a question as bad faith? I must have asked a million of them to everyone who was involved in my conversion from Protestant theology to Catholicism. They must have been all bad. I mean, Tony specifically can show texts where I'm asking insane things because that's what scholarship is. That's what you do when you investigate. That's what you do when you cross-examine. This guy can't handle basic, like, intellectual discourse. It's embarrassing. You should be embarrassed of yourself. I've been doing this 20 years. Okay, like, who cares? You can do it for 100 years and still be a freaking moron.
saying they're bad faith, and they're just...
Right.
They're questions that appear polemically.
All the
that
chat
engage in
believes
stuff.
that you.
Okay, so I'm trying to tell him, like, hey, I read a bunch of Eastern Orthodox stuff. These are the questions that came out of it. I don't think that's bad faith. Like, if something produces questions, those questions exist inherently in the context. So I'm literally reading tons of Eastern... I mean, even engaged in Luigi, Upis, what's his name? Eudemus, whatever. Ask him questions. These are questions out of research. So if you don't like them, then inherently you have a problem with the actual context, the scholarship that exists for Eastern Orthodoxy. If you can't handle the questions that it produces, and you call them loaded and bad faith, that's a problem.
You're gaslighting and being a bitch. So you're calling me a bitch?
Oh, well, actually, he called me a bitch first, but now he says my chat says now my echo chamber says that you're a bitch and that you're gaslighting me. They're here to they're saying this, and they're calling you a bitch, so it must be true.
I literally don't care what.
Well,
your
good.
chat
That's good that you don't care because
We live in an
nobody's
echo chamber.
buying your crap. That's why.
It's not.
I don't care about a single person in his chat. I want questions answered. These are questions that your scholarship produces. I want them answered.
Not crap.
Why don't you make an
Listen,
argument? Why can't you make an actual argument?
Because I didn't come here to argue with you. I
But
came
you
here to-
did. You did.
Not my
Because you're
opinion.
debating. So just be honest and debate. I would respect you more.
I know you get a hard on from debating people.
Yeah.
I'm literally trying not to do that. And I'm trying to engage Eastern Orthodoxy polemically, yes. Like, obviously, from an apology.
Okay, polemics is debating. So why are you talking bullshit again like you're not debating?
I am stating that my questions, while they arrive in a polemic nature. to
That's
me,
debating. Stop being such a Skittles man.
It's not debating. If a book is produced in defense of Eastern Orthodoxy and out of it arise questions, cross-examination, I'm not having a formal debate. I'm saying, okay, they're making these claims. I have some questions about those claims. What are your answers? Because you have a live show saying you can defend them. So quit diverting, quit bulldozing, quit hiding behind your own chat, quit being a bitch, and answer the questions.
And just make your point like a man, dude. What's your argument? What's your question?
What are you talking about? Okay.
Everyone believes you're bad faith. So you've not convinced anyone that you are good
Dude,
faith.
you want to talk about fallacy? Stop.
How's that a fallacy? It's an analysis of your...
Everyone does this. Everyone is saying this.
I don't sound like that.
Dude, we're in your chat. Of course, everyone's going to agree with you, Jay.
There's plenty of Protestants in the chat.
I don't want no Protestant agreeing with me.
So you didn't know what autocephalous churches are, and you're here to tell me that...
Now we're going back. Can you answer any of the questions directly without assuming my endpoint, without assuming my argument, without assuming the context, without assuming where I got it, without assuming anything? Can you just have a good-natured conversation? That's what good faith is, Jay. And if you want my sources for where I got my questions, of what I've read and all that stuff, sweet. Can give them to you. Oh wait, you blocked me because you're a freaking 5-year-old girl. I don't like this guy.
You said, yeah, because it's embarrassing. You said you know these topics, right?
Yes, embarrass me. No, I do know the topics.
But you don't know a basic about church history and church governance.
Dude, like I said, it's 9 o'clock. I put my...
Oh, so that's your excuse. Yeah, like because your kids are... Goodbye.
The hilarious thing is I don't even care about that part.
And everybody knows you're being a slime ball.
Oh yeah, so that's when he blocked me. And I'm being a slime ball. Okay. None of my questions got answered in that time period. And it's been a half hour of conversation with him. He diverted 4 or 5 times. He reiterated and looped back how much of an idiot I am because I don't know. I didn't recognize a word because I'm trying to find the question I wanted to ask him. And diverts, assumes, and he wants to say I'm in bad faith. This more is the definition of bad faith. Like, you are bad faith, Jay. Like, that is your MO. Like, that's why no one wants to talk to you on a actual real level. That's my assumption. And I'm verifying that's an assumption. I don't actually know. But you are literally, by definition, bad faith in our very conversation here. It's pathetic. I ended up donating to him and being lighthearted about it and being like, hey, dude, like, I wasn't trying to be passive aggressive. I still don't know how it's passive aggressive. I don't think he knows the definition of that word, or maybe he's passive aggressive to his boyfriend or whatever. I don't know. But I tried to tell him, like, hey, like, I genuinely actually think me and him would get along if he got past all of, like, the butt hurt and trauma he's had on YouTube. Just being honest. Like, dude has wounds. I don't know what happened in his childhood or who left or who smacked him, but, like, there's something there. Or it's just strictly from spending way too much time in academia. Or actually, he's not even in academia. Reading academia, I should say. Because he wouldn't last 5 seconds in actual academia. I don't know. It's disheartening for sure. I'm bummed because I wanted these questions answered. And the problem is now, like, one, I can't ask him live. Like, I want to do these things live because I think it's better that way. And I'm finding a trend with Eastern Orthodox apologists. They don't answer questions. They refer you out. One, they have a hard time understanding. Like, can you do that question? Can you articulate that differently? And then they refer you out to some document. Jay was one of the only ones who actually like has the brain knowledge and brain capacity far superior to mine to articulate these things. So why would I not want to go to him? I don't know, man. It's Lent. I should probably not be doing this right now, but big bummer. And I had like 14 other questions I wanted to get to. Guess I won't be becoming Eastern Orthodox anytime soon. I don't know. You guys tell me. Was I being passive aggressive? Was I being in bad faith? Was I offering loaded questions? Was he right? Again, every time he corrected me on something, I felt like I accepted it. It was like, okay, like I get it, but I want my question answered. Like, you know how you read a book and at the end you're like, that was a 90% fluff? That's Jay. There's like the 10% that he answers, and then 90% of it's like, I didn't ask that. I didn't ask for that. I don't want that. Don't give me that. But it's his show. It's his territory. He doesn't step out of it. He doesn't leave his little cocoon. So it is what it is. I hope you guys had a little kick out of that. And I'm sorry for the language, but, you know, whatever. It is what it is. And like I said, I did donate to him and try to make it, you know, a little bit more lighthearted and stuff. And he still thinks I'm somebody else who comes on all the time, even though this is literally my second time ever talking to him. Yeah, anyways. Catch you after Lent.